All right. So in this video, we're going to cover three things. We'll go over four sentence types. In addition, we'll go over some common rules and we'll go over some capitalization rules. So starting off with the four sentence types, we've talked about three of these ones already, and I'm going to introduce a third one. Sorry, a fourth one that's not actually in the book, but it is in the online activity that you're going to do to practice identifying these. So the first one is the simple sentence. And what that is it's just an independent clause. The way we've talked about this before is that it just has one subject-verb pair. So in this case, we have it was a sunny day. The subject is it, and the verb is was. Now in the second one, we have compound sentences. And a compound sentence is two independent clauses connected by a comma and a fanboys. So in this case, we have it was a sunny day is the first independent clause. We went to the beach is the second independent clause. And then we have a comma and the fanboys so. The complex sentence is the third type that we just started talking about, and it has an independent clause and one or more dependent clauses. So in this case, we have before we went to the beach, which is the dependent clause. We packed our lunch is the independent clause. What you'll notice is that because we have the dependent clause first, we do use a comma. If the dependent clause is second, we don't use a comma. Now the last kind, and this is one we haven't talked about, is called the compound complex sentence. And what it is it has two independent clauses joined by a comma and a fanboys, and one or more dependent clauses. So in this case, our two independent clauses are we packed our lunch and we put on our bathing suits. And then we have the comma and the fanboys and then our dependent clause is before we went to the beach. Okay? So let's take a look at some sentences here and identify them. So take a second to read these ones, and then you can pause the video to read through these. And then go ahead and restart, and I'll go through each one of these. All right, so here's the answers. The first one is a complex sentence. It says some people like to do to relax and do nothing when they take a vacation. So complex sentence has an independent clause, which is some people like to relax and do nothing, and a dependent clause when they take a vacation. Our second one is a compound sentence. Compound sentences have two independent clauses joined by a comma and a fanboys. So the two independent clauses are other people like to travel and still others like to have an adventure. We have the comma and the fanboys and. Number three is a simple sentence. Unusual vacations are becoming popular. So we just have one subject-verb pair, vacations, and then the verb is are becoming. Number four is also a simple sentence. People go hiking in Nepal or river rafting in Ecuador. Now we have or, which is a coordinating conjunction or a fanboys, but you'll notice that we don't have a comma. So in that case, we need both of those for compound sentences. Our last one is a compound complex sentence. So compound complex has the two independent clauses and a dependent clause, and also the fanboys and the comma. So our two independent clauses, the first one, some people spend their vacations learning. The second one, some people spend their vacation helping others. And those are connected with a comma and the fanboys and. And then the dependent clause is whenever they have the chance. Okay, and you'll have the opportunity to practice those ones online, and we'll do some more practice in class. All right, so then here are the capitalization rules that we want to discuss. We've covered 6 of them already, and so here's another 4. And this is on page 86 of the first steps in academic writing. So our first rule here we have to capitalize the names of specific structures. So what this means is we're talking about buildings, we're talking about roads, we're talking about bridges. We're talking about things that have names. So if I just say the word house, I'm not going to capitalize that. But if I say the White House, I am going to capitalize it because it's actually the name of a building. The Hilton Hotel, if I just say hotel, it's not a named building. But if I say Hilton Hotel, I need to capitalize it. Highway 295. Okay, this is the name of an actual highway. If I just say the word highway, I'm not going to capitalize it. The same thing goes with bridges. So bridge by itself is not going to be capitalized, but Brooklyn Bridge, the name of the bridge, is going to. Okay, so again, focus here. 7, 8, and 9, we're talking about names. So number 8 is names of specific organizations. Okay, and these organizations could be businesses, they could be schools, or they could be clubs. But any named organization you're going to capitalize. So Facebook. Facebook is the name of a company, so we capitalize that company. Northern Virginia Community College is the name of the school. Okay, if we just say community college, we're not going to capitalize that. But if we're talking about the name, we will capitalize it. And this one, the Irish Students Club. If we're just using the word club, we won't capitalize it. But if we're talking about the name, we have to capitalize it. So number 9 is the names of days, months, holidays, and special periods. Okay, but not names of seasons. So when we write Monday or January or Christmas, Monday is a day. All the days of the week get capitalized. January is a month. All of the months get capitalized. And holidays, like Christmas, those are going to get capitalized. But we don't do it with the seasons. So fall, spring, summer, winter. We don't capitalize those ones. And the last one is geographic areas. Now this one sometimes gets people confused. But when we say geographic areas, we're not talking about countries, and we're not talking about rivers or mountains or anything like that. We're talking about parts of the world. So we can say the Middle East. The Middle East is part of Asia, but it's a segment of Asia. Southeast Asia. Okay, this is a part of Asia, so we say it's a geographic area. So we capitalize these things, but we don't capitalize just the compass directions. So just east or west or southeast or southwest, when those are by themselves, we don't capitalize them. Okay, and you'll have the opportunity to practice some of this in class, and in addition, there's some online activities that go over these rules and some of the previous rules that we've covered. If you want a listing for all of the rules together, it's actually in the back of your book. Just looking up the page number right now. I thought it was back here, but I can't seem to find it right now. I will tell you. I can't seem to find it right now. I don't know why. I saw it earlier, but I'll tell you about it in class. But there's a list of all of them. If you want to go back, you can also just look on in chapter 1. Goes over the capitalization rules as well. Okay. I can't find them right this second, so I'm just going to keep on going. All right, so the last thing here, this is on page 89, chapter 3, is the comma rules. So commas are a real pain. and one of the biggest difficulties is that people use them differently, and a lot of people just don't follow the rules. A lot of people just put in commas in places where, oh, a comma is a pause, and I'm just going to put a comma in there. What we're going through here, what I'm going to go through and what I'll enforce in your writing is the formal rules. Be aware that not everybody's going to follow these rules, and different teachers are going to feel differently about using commas. But I think that I can pretty safely say that if you follow these rules, people are not going to say you're wrong. Or if they do, you can just pull out the book and show them that you're right. So anyway, we got 4 rules here. The first one here is after listing order and time order signals, except then. So what this means is these are transitions, the transitions that go at the beginning of a sentence. We want to put a comma after them. Okay? This is one of those rules that you see a lot of people not following. And what I'd recommend is just put the comma there, because there's some times where it's okay not to, but I think most of the time it's better to put the comma there. So our example is with first, and you see you have the comma after first. So first, put 4 cups of rice into a pan. The next one, and this one you have to do, there's no choice with this one, but with coordinating conjunctions in a compound sentence. A compound sentence has to have the comma and the coordinating conjunction. If you're missing the comma, it's not correctly punctuated. So some people like to travel, comma, and others like to have an adventure. The third one is in a complex sentence when the dependent clause comes first. So after you take out the pizza out of the oven, that's the dependent clause, comma, cut it into 8 pieces. I know that there's a lot of people who put commas in the middle of sentences when the dependent clause comes second. Everything that I've looked up online in terms of formal rules says don't do that. There are some exceptions, but those exceptions are rare. So please, 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 please don't put a comma in the middle of the sentence if the dependent clause comes second. And then the last one is for a series of items. So when we say a series, what we mean is 3 or more things in a list. If you have 2 things in a list, you do not need the commas. So we have here 1 dog, 1 Kate, spelled that wrong, sorry. 2 goldfish, a bird, and 4 humans. So we put a comma after each one of these things. Now that last comma before the and, a lot of people treat that as an optional comma. I recommend just putting it there. Okay, and I'm going to mark it. When I look at your writing, I'm going to expect you to have a comma there. Can it be optional? Yeah, it can be optional, but I think there are some times where it's confusing if you don't have it. So just put commas there. Okay? We will be doing some of the activities in the book in class to review these. Again, if you have questions about this, please bring them to class, and we'll talk about them as we go through the activities. All right, take care. See you in class. Bye.